Hi, I'm Tom Shives, and welcome to Unstuck Company. Today I'm going to talk just to you a little bit about the Project Management Institute and what is that, and what is the PMP, and why should I even consider getting my PMP. Well, first, PMI is one of the world's largest professional membership associations in the world. It was started in 1969 by 5 people who sat around a table and came up with this idea of forming an association for project managers. And here we are, over 40 years later, and we have over 500,000 members and credential holders in over 180 countries. We have recognized standards and certifications. PMI has collaborative communities and has been strong to help support the community of project management. PMI also has research programs and professional development opportunities where there's thousands of ways that project managers can get training and education. And I personally believe that they're also a thought leader in how do we get strategically aligned within our companies, and how do we get our projects so tailored and so in alignment that it's going to improve the success of the projects. Now, PMI also offers us 5 certifications: the PMP, the PGMP, which is the Program Management Professional, the CAPM, the Certified Associate Certificate, the PMI SP for the Scheduling Professional, and the PMI RMP, which is the Risk Management Professional Certification. Now, the PMP, the Project Management Professional, is the one that has gotten tremendous support throughout the industry, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. But in addition to these certifications, PMI also has 12 standards in project management. And these standards, of course, most of us are familiar with the Project Management Professional and our guide, which is called the PMBOK, the Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, which the current edition is the 4th edition. That is just one of 12 standards that exist. PMI also has standards in risk, standards in scheduling, earned value, and a host of others up to that 12. Now, in addition to that, PMI has 250 geographical chapters and 30 industry-specific interest-based community of practices. And these community of practices are around topics such as project management offices, earned value, construction, agile, energy, oil and gas, healthcare, scheduling. Now, in addition to that, PMI also supports a program called the Registered Education Provider Program. In that program, we have 1,400 registered education providers that help project managers get their education and training. And on top of that, PMI also supports over 60 undergraduate and graduate programs accredited by the PMI Global Accreditation Center. Now, why would you want to be involved in this association? I mean, doesn't it sound like it's a pretty good deal to be involved in an association that supports your profession so much? Why wouldn't you want to give back just a little bit with that organization, and maybe support it in some way, either in a volunteer effort or just join a chapter or join the PMI? So let's just think a little bit more about this, and I'm going to put it in my own perspective. In 1997, I had the distinct privilege of being laid off by 2 companies over a period of about 4 months. I mean, this was a shocker to me. My first employment stint was at a national labs in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which lasted about 7 years. My next one about 5 years in the oil and gas industry. And then here I was working in an automation company for about 10 years. But our division wasn't really going as well as the company would like, and basically they took down my division, and along with that decided that they would also ask me to resign. So I basically was laid off by this company, and here I am in the job search. Well, lo and behold, I find a job down in Houston, Texas, and I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So here it is, this job in Houston, Vice President of Quality Engineering. How cool is that? I mean, here I go from a director out to be a vice president. We didn't want to move our family, and I accepted their offer, so I started out on Monday mornings, leaving the house around 4:30, driving to Houston, which took about 3 or 4 hours, and then arriving there in the Woodlands, and went to work as my job of Vice President of Quality Engineering. And on Friday, I would come back and have time with my family here on the weekends. So I did this for about 5 weeks, and on that 6th week, I go into the office, and the administrative assistant person kind of taps me on the shoulder and says, "Tom, Dave wants to talk to you." So I go in, I meet Dave, and of course when I'm walking in the door, he doesn't give me any eye contact, asks me to sit down, and closes the door. Now, why is it when they close the door, you know you're not going to get some big promotion here? I sat there, and Dave went through his little story of telling me this was my last day. They've decided to do some things different, and I was just shocked. I still remember just sitting there going, what is going on here? Now, that was the bad news. The good news is that I had an upfront agreement with them that provided me some severance, which financially made it actually not a bad deal. But fortunately on the way home, I really wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about, gee, what do I need to do different? Well, I went home and decided, after a period of a couple of months of deciding what to do, decided to get my PMP. And I decided I was going to hang my own shingle and kind of get out of the corporate role for a short period of time. Lo and behold, about 4 months later, after I had gotten my PMP, went through a certification training program, and started my networking, I came across a company in San Antonio that needed contract project managers. And there, I started a 1.5-year contract assignment as a project manager. That was one of the best years financially, and one of the funnest jobs I've had since then, in terms of exploiting and using that project management knowledge that I had gained. Now, what do you think one of the requirements was for the job? They wanted a PMP. That was huge to them. And I had just gotten it a few months earlier. So my first assignment as a project manager in the real world, hanging my own shingle, was because I got it because of being a project management professional. So I don't know what the reason is for you, why you should get your PMP, but let me just go through just a couple of benefits that I think are very important. The first one is, if you just go out and look at the 6th edition of the PMI Salary Survey, you'll see that PMPs make about 10% more than those without their PMP. Now, that ought to be enough there. I mean, just think about it. If you're just making, let's say, 80 grand a year, and if I could make 10% more, that's $8,000 a year. Over 10 years, that's $80,000 additional income. It might be worth it to just take that step to get your PMP. You're going to be more marketable and have better promotions. And the job market is full of positions for project managers today that say PMP required or PMP desired. It's also recognized around the world. There's over 430,000 PMPs that have all decided that this was the right thing for them to do. Now, I believe, aside from all the personal benefits, I also believe that it gives us a common language to talk about project management with. So because of that, I believe there's some really significant benefits that you ought to consider. Now, some of my students that I have taught in graduate school, and I teach at 2 graduate universities, have paid thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to get their graduate degree in project management or even their MBA. And I think that's a great thing. But surprisingly enough, several of them have not taken that extra step to get their PMP. I mean, here they got this great degree, this advanced degree, but yet they've not taken that extra step to get their PMP. To me, it's a lot like this. They went out and they got this great automobile. I mean, they got this awesome automobile. I mean, wow, shiny tires and big old hood ornament maybe. And yet, no license to use it. Now, PMP I know is not a license, but to me I'm just using that as a similarity to say the importance that I believe project management has in our industry. So I just really challenge you to just think about this right now. The exam is changing at the end of August. In fact, the last day that you can sit for the current formatted exam is August 29th. So I'd urge you to consider strongly to get your PMP now. It might be the best decision you ever made. I know for me it was the best decision that I ever made. Now I'm going to give you some other short segments in some following videos that will give you a little bit more information regarding the exam and the information that you might need to pass the exam this summer. So I'd just like you to stay tuned for those videos. You can click the link below to watch the next video about the exam. And I'm just want to thank you today. I'm honored that you spent a few minutes with me today. And I thank you for the valuable time that you spent and hope you got something out of it. Thank you very much.